So you need to think that if this sentence is presented to international audience, will they be able to understand? If you're using Urdu and you are not translating English, what impact it will create, and how the international audience uh, count numbers, how they move, whether they move from right to left or left to right. So there are many things which you need to address so that you can compete at world level. And that is why when we are competing for international speech contests, this is the final speech you are giving. This is the thing that this is the final speech, and this is the world championship of public speaking's final, and you're delivering it. Because if you win, this is the same speech will be submitted to the international level, and you will be competing with the world Toastmasters. So it's you have to consider, because you're going into the battlefield, like it's a battlefield. Everybody is competing for the crown, and you are also one of them. And the more you work hard, it will give you the benefit. So there are many talented people you may think of that they are coming. Oh no, I cannot win in the speech contest because, for example, Zaid Kalia is coming and he's very talented, and you think that I cannot beat him. So there is one technique you can beat a talented Toastmasters in the speech contests. So I have also beaten many talented people in my journey, and many uh, hard workers have beaten me in the speech contest as well. So the trick is you have to work hard. So if you think that you are less talented, first of all, you need to take out this inferiority complex, and you have to think that you have the same talent. And if proven that you have a less talent, then you have to work hard. You have If a talented person is repeating and memorizing his speech, for example, for 100 times in a day, then you have to level it up by 200 times. So this is the important way, and this is a beautiful journey when you think like that. I have to win, and I have to reach the podium, and my speech should be the one which should be submitted to world headquarters for the video speech contest in it, obviously for international level. And I have to win online Urdu contest, or I have to win tall tales. Your speech should be the best, and if you want the best speech come out from you, then you have to work hard. It's not an easy job that you will go on stage and you will deliver this speech. It's not a table topic. By the way, for table topic, we also learn and we also prepare for the table topic. We also prepare for the evaluation contest. So these are the different things, and I'm sure that distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz is very much experience. He has reached to the world final level, and he will be guiding us today. And I'm glad that distinguished Toastmaster Irfan Faruqi has organized this event, and distinguished Toastmaster PQD Azam Ali has organized the event, and distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz Saab, who is also a TLI chair, is with us to give us the insight and jewels. And I believe that he will be today delivering those things which will be helpful for our contestants, and we will be inshallah leveling up our game. And inshallah in a few months time, when we will become distinguished, sorry, we will become a full-fledged district, inshallah. So then we have to open the doors, and we have to compete with the international level. So this is the last year, I think we have to prepare in this way. And then next year, inshallah, we will be going ahead, inshallah. So with this, I would like to give back charge to distinguished Toastmaster Fan Farouk.
Thank you very much, District Director DTM Zaid Kalia, for sharing your thoughts and encouraging people to give the best from the start so that they are recognized. with this, let's move forward. And I would like to ask one question to the present audience. How many of the present audience are planning to take part into the contests that are just going to start? Okay, Hasib. Anyone else? Right. Yes, same. Ahmed Shakur. So my question to it, let's start with them. My question from Hasib. Right. So my question to Hasib is, Toastmaster Hasib, what is
Yes.
the number one thing you would like to know about competing in the international speech contest? If you desire to advance from club to area, to division to district, what is your number one thing that you would like to know about competing in the international speech contests?
Thank you so much, DTM Irfan. Yes, exactly. The most important thing for me it would be what should be the purpose of my speech. Should my speech should be as based on body language and vocal variety, or it should be something of a persuasive nature, like we all have the projects which we have completed till now, or it should be depicting something else. What should be my speech should be based upon.
Right. Toastmaster Ahmed Shakur, the same question for you. So, what is it that you would like to know about competing in the international speech contest? What would you like
Thank you
to?
very much, DTM Irfan Faruqi. Actually, what I would like to know is how to uh, impact an audience and how to make a lasting impact that remains till the end and judges remember you and they mark you better than everyone else. How to make a speech that way. That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you. Professor Shahzeb, you also had raised your hand. What would you like to know i- in the contest? How to compete in the contest?
Yes, thank you so much, DTM Irfan, first of all, for providing us this great opportunity and a great learning session. There are many things that we need to learn. We just learned from DTM Kalia that we need to do hard work, and but I believe that we also need some kind of a luck, uh, especially at this club level and the area level. uh, we don't have that much of capacity to provide such judges for the audience for the participation, and at the same times we also have the challenge of less audience, especially when you're performing at the club level or the area level or the division level. So there are many challenges, but looking forward to DTM Sarfraz speech, and I hope we will learn today.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. So, learning is from the Swingish Toastmaster Sarfraz Nazir, not from Zaid Kalia. Yes, that's right now. Toastmaster Wahid Akhtar, you were also planning to compete in the contest. So, the same question is for you also. What is the number one thing that you would like to know about competing in the international speech contest?
Thank you very much, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. The first thing I know, a member should have at least two levels completed, and then he has the paid member, he and active member of the club. And as far as contest, although it is difficult, but I accept this challenge and I will try to participate my best. And I hope I will uh, win the contest at any level.
Right. So, before we start, we request GTM Sarfraz Nazir, and at the end, definitely you will have time to ask questions to him. But even before it, if anybody has a specific point that he is focusing on, and he wants DTM Sarfraz Nazir to include it in the training session, you're most welcome to let our trainer know in advance. If anybody has any specific area, any specific concern, please do share with the DTM Sarfraz. Yes, Sayyid Hasib.
Yes, just one question I want to ask from DTM Sarfaraz, that are we allowed to make a PowerPoint as a part of our speech like we do in our normal projects? Can we do that? Some people bring props along with their speech, so are we allowed to do any kind of slideshow for better explanation of our speech? Thank you.
I would request DTM Sarfraz Nazir to try and address this area into the speech, or if not included in the speech, at the end, we would also request him for the answer. Anyone else who wants to ask anything who wants something to be included in the training today? Any specific concerns? Okay. My own concern, DTM Sarfraz Nazir, is sometimes I observe that the judges become biased based upon a few areas that a Toastmaster, as each contestant is presenting. Sometimes I observe that if a Toastmaster is talking about miseries, they get carried away. If the speaker himself or herself is somewhat handicapped, then again, I feel the speech was not so big that marks are given. So I would also like that at the end in your questions, or some maybe in speeches, how contestants should feel about it, how should they prepare about it, and is really it is an issue or not. So I think most of the questions have been asked by the people, and with this I now request our distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz Nazir to share his thoughts with us, to let us know and let us get prepared for the contests, and we will try to learn from him. We'll try to become the number one winner, number one position holder in the contests. The stage is now yours, DTM Sarfraz Nazir. Sarfraz Nazir, DTM, you're mute.
Thank you, DTM Irfan. Let me share a file. You should be able to see a title slide.
Yes.
An American lady was visiting Rome on a vacation. One evening, she went to a posh restaurant for dinner. She loved the food so much that she asked to see the chef. The chef came out. She complimented him and then asked him, "Can I get your recipe?" He obliged. 2 years later, this lady was back in Rome. She went to the same restaurant and asked to see the chef again. When the chef came out, she told him, "I followed your recipe, but the food did not taste as good as yours." The chef asked her, "Can you repeat the recipe?" She did. It appeared that she had followed the recipe to the letter. The chef thought for a moment, and then he said, "Madam, you forgot to put the most important ingredient. You forgot to put your heart in it. Fellow Toastmasters, especially those who are planning on competing in the international speech contest, putting your heart in the speech contest. I've heard Toastmasters who think of competing and do compete, especially at the club level, this, oh, it doesn't matter if I win or not, it'll be a good experience. No, if you compete, you're going to get some experience anyway. You must have a burning desire to win. And that's what makes you improve when you go from club to area to division to district to semifinals and to finals. You're not just competing for the sake of, okay, I'll give a speed that's better than what I give at club. Most of you know who won the javelin competition this year in the Olympics. Arshad Nadeem. If you have read about him, he went to the Olympics in Paris with the single aim of winning the competition, coming home back to Pakistan with a gold medal. And he did that. I have read something about him. Nowhere does it say, he said, oh, it'll be nice if I go there, good experience to compete at the Olympics level. Doesn't matter if I win or not. No. You must have the fire. One of the district directors became my friend in 1995. And unfortunately, in December 2009, he passed away. He used to tell me, Sarfaraz, keep on competing as long as you have the fire. So you must have a burning desire to compete, to advance to the higher levels. Winning is not in your hands because it's up to the judges also. But you cannot give up because of, hey, I don't control the judges. You must have a single aim that I want to deliver such a speech that leaves a lasting impression, that's memorable, that people say, wow, that's a winning speech, whether you walk away with a trophy or not. Fellow Toastmasters, I want to thank Area 5 leaders and especially distinguished Toastmaster Irfan Farooqi for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to share what I have learned while competing in the international speech contest over the years. Looking at the attendees, I know some of you, and some of you I'm not familiar with. So let me tell you briefly who I am. I've had the honor of competing against 3 world champions of public speaking. The first one was Ed Tate. In 2000, I competed against him. There were 9 contestants and 18 judges in the contest. If you are familiar with the contest, you know the judges' ballot requires the judge to place the top 3 winners, or the top 3 speakers in the contest. The first place winner receives 3 points, second place 2 points, and third place 1 point. The points from all the ballots are summed up, and the person with the highest score is declared the winner. If there's a tie between the first and between 2 speakers, then the chief judge goes to the tie-breaking judges' ballot. The tie-breaking judges, instead of just placing the top 3, he places all the contestants. In this case, it was 1 through 9. Now, you may have heard during the contest, ballot counters are told not to disclose the results to anyone, even their spouses. But ballot counters are human beings. One of the ballot counters, there were 3 ballot counters in my semifinals, was from our district. He did not tell me the results, but he told some of the district officers that I lost by 1 point to a world champion at Tate from 2000. That's great. Now, back then, only first place semifinal winner went to the finals. But knowing that English is not my first language, it is not even my second language, that I was able to stand on the stage before an audience of several hundreds and deliver a speech that came that close. If one judge had reversed, placed him second and placed me first, it would have created a tie. After the contest was over, one of the judges, who happened to be the tie-breaking judge, came up to me and said, "Sarfaraz, I put you in first place." Now, judges are not supposed to talk to the contestants and tell them how they voted. But again, judges are human beings. Some of them felt sorry and wanted to let me know. So more than the trophy itself, which is 3.2 pounds, it was the honor that as a Pakistani, and people knew that I was a speaker from Pakistan because I mentioned that in my speech as part of a story that I was mentioning. In order to get to the semifinals, I had to compete several times at the district level. And each time I competed, I wanted to make sure my speech was better than the year before. And I did not repeat any speech during the first 5 years that I was competing until I won the district contest. Each speech was different, and each one had to be better than the previous year. But winning was not in my control. And later on, I'll talk about you cannot control the judges. You control what you can control, and that's give a memorable speech. I did not want to just be competing in the international speech contest, even though my focus was on ISC. I also competed in other contests to expand my knowledge and to find out what it takes to compete when you're not simply delivering a 5 to 7 minute speech. Evaluation contest, table topics, and tall tales. So I mentioned putting your heart. And next thing, as a contestant, you must be willing to pay the price. Now, I would like to ask you, what does it mean when I say pay the price? Anyone, one of the attendees, please unmute yourself and let us know. What do you think pay the price means?
Uh, yeah, so pay the price could be something you might have to miss. So let's say you're preparing for the contest and there's a marriage which you have to attend of your friend, one of your best friends. There could be a possibility that you might have to miss it because you have to be damn serious about the contest. So that's the price you might have to pay. This is just one example. This could be anything for you depending on your situation in your life.
Thank you. Yes, pay the price means that you have to put in sweat, tears, and effort. You must be prepared for the thrill of victory, but also for the agony of defeat. In the districts where I competed, the schedule is posted well in advance. In other words, the dates are selected several months before the contest. So if I was competing, I knew when the area contest, division contest, and the district contest will take place. And I wanted to make sure that those dates are reserved or booked so that there is no conflict. Earlier, I heard DTM Irfan Farooqi talking about practicing. It was also mentioned by DTM Zaid Kalia. You just cannot deliver the speech at a club contest, and if you're fortunate to win, then next time you deliver that speech, you go to the area and deliver it for the second time. No, you have to practice. In my case, when I advanced to the semifinals, I went to 10 different clubs in 2 different districts. Some clubs that met at breakfast, 7 in the morning, some at lunchtime, noon, and some in the evening. Different audience, people who had never heard me speak. I was not just wanting to see what feedback they give me. I want to see how the audience reacts. The humor in my speech, does it have the same impact when I go from one audience to another audience? And then I did get feedback, And that's another challenge that you have as a contestant. You cannot accept every feedback that you receive because, especially if you're competing at a higher level and you're getting feedback of someone who has never even attended an area or a division contest, and they're telling you how to win a district contest. In one of my speeches, I was telling a childhood story in which I talk about flipping the pages of the book. And my action was like this. And someone, after the contest over, came up, said, Safraz, since you are giving a childhood story, you should go like this, flipping the pages. And I knew if I did that, judges are going to think, hey, what is that? That's not the proper way to flip a page. So you have to be careful what feedback, but you must be prepared to go and deliver the speech. Another thing I've noticed, I've seen some Toastmasters advance from club to area to division and even to district, if they're fortunate to do that. And some speakers, I noticed their speech was exactly the same at each level. That meant they did not improve it. They may have practiced to deliver it in an effective way, but the speech did not get improved. Your speech should change. You don't have to come up with a new speech, but the same speech should be an improvement over the one that you have given in a prior level. And you must know certain things. Our distinguished Toastmasters have already talked about some of them. One is the speech contest rule book. If you're a contestant, you must read every word, especially everything that pertains to the international speech contest. Now, I'm not going to go over the rules in detail, but you have to be eligible. And one of our attendees mentioned that you have to complete 2 levels. No, it used to say complete 2 levels. The rule now says you must have received certificate of completion for 2 levels of any pathway. And last year, 2023, someone won the district contest. Then he went on to pay a large amount of money to someone to coach him, to help him get ready for the semifinals. And he found out that he was not eligible to compete because he had not completed 2 levels. Oh, yes, he had completed 2 levels, but the levels had not been approved in base camp, Club Central, and he wasn't disqualified. So you have to receive certificate completion. And it is not the task or job of the club president or VP education or any district officer. It is your responsibility as a contestant to make sure that happens, that you have proof that you have received certificate completion. Another requirement is that you must represent a club that is in good standing. You cannot compete in a club where the club has not paid dues for at least 8 members. So if you are a member of a club that has only 4 members and you're getting ready to compete, the club cannot have a contest because they don't have 8 members. And if you're really serious about competing, you need to find another club that already has 8 members and join that club so you can be a member of a club that's in good standing. As a contestant, you must also be familiar with the judges' ballot. The ballot is for the judges, but you must know what are the judges looking for. And sometimes people say, well, how does the judge score 0 to 100? Generally speaking, the judges go from 100. 100 is the maximum total you can get, but there are maximum totals in each category. For example, the content is 50%, delivery 30%, and language 20%. So you're starting at a 50%, and then in your speech, you're giving the judge an excuse to deduct some marks, and he or she may then start taking points away. So it's up to the judge how they score. They may score, hey, this person is worth 30% or 35. Some take off, starting with the maximum given to the speaker, and then go downward. It's up to the judge. But the second page of the judges form gives the judging criteria. You should know what is meant by speech development or effectiveness. I know people ask them, what's a good speech? What's a winning speech? Winning speech is that touches the heart. It comes from your heart and reaches the heart of the audience. And people say, wow. I've seen speakers give speeches where the audience had tears flowing down. That's not a requirement, because there's also winning speeches where the person made the audience laugh throughout their speech. So there's no one rule that says what a winning speech is. A winning speech could be serious, emotional, funny. But the most important aspect of a winning speech is one that puts the audience on a roller coaster ride, highs and lows, makes them think, makes them feel. So these are the things that you need to know. You cannot control the judges, but you must have some idea about the audience also. And when I say audience, in a speech contest, your main audience is your judges. But of course, if you're not connecting with the audience, the judges will notice that. But you have to make sure that whatever you say, you do not give any judge an excuse to deduct marks on their ballot. This is the roadmap. I'm going to go over what it takes to design a speech, how to go about developing, and then finally delivering a speech. If you ask someone to build a house for you, construct a house for you, I'm sure as a customer, you would want to see the design of it. You don't expect the person to come and start putting the house together and you don't even know what it's going to look like by the time it's done. So same thing goes in preparing a speech. You must first design it. I've noticed when people are preparing a speech, they take a notebook and start writing speech. No, first design it. And here's some things that you need to focus on when you're designing speech. The topic. The contest rule book says that the topic is open to the speaker. Speaker selects his or her own topic. But if you're serious about advancing from one level to the next level, you need to pay attention to what type of speeches have won previously to see what it takes to win. Even though topic is open, if you talk about social issues, if you talk about politics, Toastmasters says that they do not prohibit you from talking about religion or politics or social issues. But if you do, there's a chance that you might offend someone in the audience, especially a judge. The topics that connect with the audience are problem-solving topics, something that solves a problem. Dreams, how can you realize your dreams? How can you overcome adversity in your life? But most importantly, the topic you select, you must be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, it's going to show in your delivery. The theme, a good speech, a winning speech has a theme, a message. It's your thesis sentence. There should be a single theme. In 2007, I took second place once again in the semifinals, and the person who won the semifinals and advanced to the finals went to an advanced club to practice their speech. The general evaluator asked the audience, it was a round robin evaluation. The first question was, hello, Toastmasters, what was the message of the speaker's speech? 4 or 5 Toastmasters answered. Each one gave a different answer, different message. And then the message from the general evaluator was, your message was not clear. If you should have a single theme, meaning everyone in the audience should have said that the message was the same. If different people are saying that what you talked about is different, that means your message was not clear. Single theme. And there's no hard and fast rule, but I suggest that theme should be 5 to 9 words. Think of a billboard. When you're driving at high speed on a highway, if there's a lot of words on the billboard, you don't have time to read it. It's a picture and a few words. So that's what your speech should be. That paints a picture and the theme is short. And here are the examples from some of my speeches. Oh, yes, you can drive your dreams. Once your journey begins, go forward and never look back. Title. There is no score on the judge's ballot for title, but the title leads into your speech. Just like the title of a book, the title has to attract for you to pick up the book at a bookstore and look at the cover and then open a few pages to see what the book is about. It should be short, sweet. In some cases, like a training session, it's long to say how to do something, but international speech contest speeches, the title is short, 1 to 5 words. When you're preparing a title, think of the bumper sticker at the back of the car. It just has a few words. If there are a lot of words, the font is so small you can't read it. Title should be so. Now, someone a few years ago in the World Championship Public Speaking got away. His title was the entire paragraph and made it funny, and he went away with a trophy. He did not win the contest. But generally speaking, title short. Here's titles from my speeches: Drive Your Dreams, Leave a Legacy, The River of No Return. Short and sweet. That tells, and I stretch on the title because I have seen, especially at a club level, where people use a title which is actually their theme or the message of the. No, your title should not be revealing the message of your speech or the theme of your speech. Here are the winning titles from 1990 to 2008. Notice they're all from 1 word to 5 words, short to the point. Timing. It's already been mentioned. If you're a contestant or if you've been giving speeches in a club, you know the international speech contests are 5 to 7 minutes. You qualify at 4.5 minutes, green light comes at 5, yellow at 6, red light comes on 7, and stays on until you have finished your speech. And your maximum time is 7:30. And now Toastmasters, you used to disqualify at 7:30. Toastmasters has changed that. You now disqualify at 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Even though you qualify 4.5, you don't know if you're qualified because the green light won't come on till 5 minutes. No one has ever won a speech contest by giving a 5-minute speech. Your speech should be around 7 minutes. To deliver a winning speech, you need to prepare a 5-minute speech and deliver it in 7 minutes. Instead of the mistake I made when I first started competing, I had a 9-minute speech and I tried to deliver in 7 minutes, speaking at 140 words a minute. I was going too fast. Some of the judges said they couldn't keep up with me, what I was saying. So typically, your speech should end around 6 minutes, 50 seconds, or when the red light comes on, you should be about finishing. You can stretch it to 7:30, which I did in one of the district contests. I was having so much fun that I was not even paying attention to the timing or the timing lights. The timers were almost ready to have a heart attack because I was coming very close to 7:30. And when I finished my speech, I was logged at 7 minutes, 30 seconds, and that's not good. But the reason is at each level, if you have some humor in your speech, your audience size is bigger and they laugh and you cannot talk over their laughter, so you have to pause. So there are more pauses as you progress from one level to next. And one of my semifinals, someone who had competed before and had taken 3rd place in the semifinal decided to time the laughter. I said something funny where everyone, hundreds of people in the room, burst into laughter, and he timed it more than 12 seconds. Now you might think 12 seconds is not that much, but let's see if in my speech, if the audience laughs 10 times and it's 12 seconds, that's 120 seconds, 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of my speech is gone where I'm just pausing for people to give them a chance to laugh. So you do have to allow some time for people to respond or react to your speech. So that's why I say you focus around 7 minutes. So that way, if you go over a little bit, you're still between 7 minutes and 7 minutes 30. Now, If you are paying attention to the timing lights, when the green lights comes on at 5 minutes, and you've only delivered half of your speech, what do? You rush through the rest half or cut some of the information out? No. What I suggest is that at 5 minutes, you should have delivered about 70% of your speech. So when the green light comes on, you have 30% to go. When the yellow light comes on, you are at 85%. And when the red light comes on, you're at 100% or almost finishing your speech. Now, what does that mean in words per minute? If your rate of speaking is 100 words per minute, and you've written out a speech, when the green light comes on, you should have delivered about 500 words of your speech, 600 at yellow light and 700 at. So in order to determine your rate of speech, you deliver a speech and time yourself for 2 minutes, or read something at the same pace as you would in a speech. Count the number of words that you delivered in 2 minutes, divide the total by 2, and that will give you your rate of speech. And that will tell you how many words equal 70% of your speech at green light. If you attended the 2024 World Championship Public Speaking, there were 8 contestants representing 4 different semifinals, 2 speakers out of 8, 2 finalists at the World Championship. That's 25% disqualified because they went over time. And there's no excuse. At a World Championship level, you must know how to end your speech within the allotted time. It can happen at club, maybe at area, not at a World Championship level. That means that they did not allow enough time for the audience to react, audience to laugh. So the pauses were longer. And the more laughs you got, the more time it took for the speech. That puts the speech a few seconds over 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Developing your speech. Once you've designed your speech, how do you go about putting your speech together? The substance, that's your material. You start making notes, whatever comes to mind based on the topic you selected. You can do research, but your speech should be coming from you, your personal experiences. Write down some of the things that have happened in your life that are related to the topic that you have selected. And the theme that you have selected or the message is. You do not focus on editing at this point. You just collect all the material. You can use note cards so that every thought or idea is on a different note card. Or if you write it on a notebook, leaves a space between different ideas, sentences, and then cut out all pieces of paper. The way I used to practice, I would, middle of the night with the fan off, so the pieces of paper or the index card do not blow away. And I would take the entire stack and divide it to 3 areas or 3 sections, green, yellow, and red. I would look at each idea, thought, does this fit the message or the theme of my speech? If yes, it goes to the green pile. If no, it goes to the red pile. And if I could not decide, then it went to the yellow pile. After I'd gone through all the paperwork, then I would go back and pick up the yellow pile and then look at it again. Yes, it goes in green. If I could not decide it, it's discarded. Once I read about an author, it said that she collects enough material to write a book that she can write 20 books, but she selects the best material and comes with the one book. And that's a good advice for a speech. You should have enough material to prepare 20 speeches, but take the best material out of it and come up with one great speech. So whatever you're using, your story, personal experience, quotation, it all should point towards the message of your speech. No unnecessary remarks or material that does not support your logic that you're going to present to the audience. The structure. How many parts of a speech are there? Anyone, please unmute yourself. Tell me, how many parts of speech are there?
8. 8 part of speech.
Okay, can you name some of them? Please.
Yes, it is noun, verb, adverb, adjective, preposition, and conjunction. I think conjunctive, and I don't know, pronoun. And
okay, thank you. Share it. Anyone else?
Yes,
Yes,
I
if
think
I may,
Yes.
there are 3 parts, basically an introduction, a body, and a conclusion.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I was looking for. The typical structure is 3 parts: opening, body, and conclusion. In my experience, I found there are 5 parts: opening, introduction, body, summarization, conclusion. What's the difference? In opening, I'm not telling the audience what my speech is about. I'm trying to say some things that's related to my topic, but its purpose is to attract the attention of the audience. For example, in one of my speeches, I opened by saying, to succeed in life, people are playing, who wants to be a millionaire? Very few are succeeding, except Regis. Now, this doesn't tell the audience what my speech is about, but it got the attention because when I mentioned Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that was a game show, very popular at that time. And it also allowed me to use vocal variety in the very opening of my speech to saying Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in a high pitch with some loudness. Then from the opening, we go into the introduction. For example, in this case, after talking about, and I got some laughter when I said, except Regis. Regis was the host who was paid millions of dollars to host this show. Very few contestants actually ended up winning $1 million. So the audience could relate to what was happening in the game show. So they laughed when I said, except Regis. Then in this case, my introduction was, there's a better road-tested method for your success, a combustion formula that will thrust you into high gear of success includes a mixture of dreams, desire, and drive. So that was the opening. So I have an opening, and then the introduction was that I'm going to talk about 3 things: dreams, desire, and drive. Then I went to the body. And then when you finish the 3 parts, you go to the summarization, where you bring the 3, if you have 3 parts in your body, and then the conclusion is where you call for action. What do you want the audience to do with what you have just told them? Some communication experts say when you open, you can open the quotation. That's fine. I personally believe you can open with a quotation if the quotation is your own. If you borrow for someone else's material, you're opening by telling the audience, hey, I'm not clever enough to come up with something of my own, so I borrowed a quotation from someone else. Plus, there's a possibility that people have already heard that. So you open with something that's personal, something that attracts attention, but it's yours. People can say that, hey, you're starting with someone else's material. Sometimes people say, I read a book. No, people want to hear what you have to say, not what some author said. So open and then introduce your talk. Body. Most speeches, there are 3 parts, 3 sections. 2 is not enough. People think you're shortchanging them. 4 is too much. Last year, April 2023, I was at district conference. 24 hours before the speech contest, one of the contestants walked up to me and said, Sarfraz, can we go to one of the business rooms at the hotel, and I will deliver my speech so you can tell me how to improve it? What was wrong with this? 24 hours before the speech is not the time to ask. His speech had 4. He said 4 angels. Told him 4 is too much. Cut it down to 3. If you can use 4 points, that means you're not spending enough time on each point. So you 3 points. If you're using 3 points, your best point should be the first one, because you don't want to lose the audience towards the start of your speech. Your second best should be the last one. And if you have the weakest point, it should be in the middle, so that if you go down a little bit, then the third point brings you back. The best thing is that all 3 points should have equal value. Now, not all speeches have 3 points. And one of my speech, it was just a one long story, but within the long story had 3 sections. The story begins in the United States, goes over to Pakistan, and then comes back to United States. 3 sections. And the audience did not know there were 3. I didn't say they had the 3 parts. It was structured that way. So you must have a conclusion. In other words, you are telling the audience, hey, this is what I told you. Based on my experience, this is what happened to me. Now I want you to figure out what you are going to do. Organize your material. If you're making a point, the simple formula is PEER. P, make a point. Tell the audience what the point is. E, explain what do you mean by. If you say dreams is my point, what do you mean by dream? What's a dream? Dream is a wish, or dream is something that people can realize if they're willing to spend some time. Then second E is elaborate. Give a short story that elaborates what your point is, and then R, restate the point and transition to the next one. People love stories. Since the cavemen, people have been telling stories. Use your personal stories. How did you overcome? If I'm giving a speech, or if I'm listening to a speaker who says, oh, today I'm going to tell you how to become a millionaire. Let me tell you what Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk did that. I'm not interested. I want to hear how the speaker became a millionaire. So story should be your story. When did it happen? What time frame? Date, or when you were in the 3rd grade, or when you were 5 years old, where it happened, what happened, and who was involved, and why it happened. You'll make a list, but in your story, in a few minute story, you don't have time to talk about all the characters. You pick the most important characters of your story, and then you use that in your story by just the facts. Take out all the details out of the story, just the main facts. What should remain in your story is, if I take it out, then the story is incomplete, leave it. But there's no need to give unnecessary details. And use dialogue instead of saying, my father told me that I should know. Say, become father when you're talking about your father, and then become yourself and responding to your father in a dialogue form. And that's what you see in movies. They're dialogues. You don't hear too many people narrating, and place the audience on emotional poster, highs and lows, adversity, bad things happening to you. Then how did you get up? A script. You start with an outline, make some notes, what you're going to talk about it. Then you go into write your speech. At a club level, not all the time I write my speech, but for speech contest, I do write the complete script. And as DTM mentioned, edit. Not until the last minute. You have to have some cutoff point at which you then focus on the delivery. And then once you are satisfied with your speech, then you take your written script and convert it back to outline, and you practice from the outline. So it does not appear as if you are reading, even though you're not reading. It looks like you memorized, and like a parrot, you're repeating the words you speak. It should come as a natural conversation. This language is 20% of the score. So she felt as though her hair was standing on. Instead of saying she walked into the room, she waltzed, or she trotted into the room. Her gaze pierced my heart. Her gazelle-like body. So you are painting a picture, even though people are not seeing the picture, you are making them see what you're describing. Similes, he had a face like a potato. Explain, what your character is. Avoid controversial words. If you think you are saying a word, a phrase, or something that might offend someone, then don't use it. I learned that mistake the very first time I made it to the district contest. I took 2nd place, and then a month later, I was at a judges training during the club officer training session. The session was being conducted by the chief judge. And one of the attendees, who happened to be a judge at the district contest, asked, hey, what do you do when the contestant uses a word that you don't like? And the chief judge was also the chief judge at the district contest. He says, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. He was talking about me. I was giving a childhood story in which I used the word P-U-K-E, puke. and he had disqualified me, thinking that's not appropriate. The chief judge's response was, if the word is spoken and you don't think it's appropriate, look around the room as a judge and see, is the audience offended? If so, take some points off it. If the audience is not offended, ignore it. So any controversial word, you don't want to use it because you might offend some judge. Make all of your audience think, make your audience feel like saying, can you imagine the pain she felt? And there should be humor. Humor is not a required international speech contest, but you'll notice no one has ever won a speech contest where people did not laugh. And then delivery. The eye contact, people say, well, you're standing in front. Your eye contact should start before you come up on the stage. When you, in a speech contest, you're asked to stand on the side when it's your turn to speak, and you're introduced name, title of your speech, name. You walk on the stage. Many times people walk with their head down slowly, and then they come to the center of the stage and look. No, when you walk on the stage, look towards the audience with a smile. Let them know that you are excited about speaking to them. You have something important to share with them. Then you take your position. I've seen people turn around, look at the audience, start speaking. No. Stand as if you're standing on a naval ship, legs apart, in line with your shoulders, one foot slightly in front of the other. Look at the audience from the back to the front, smile, pause a few seconds, and then begin. Once you do that, you have the attention of the audience. If you start talking immediately, some may be looking at their telephone, some are looking at their notes or looking at their watch. Smile. Before you speak, during the speech, especially when you're saying something funny, you should also smile. But if you say something serious, don't smile. I've seen people saying, oh, she died, and then they have a smile, and that smile is a smile of nervousness. Position. Where do you place yourself? I personally believe that you should start in the middle of the stage and you should end there. Then if you have different points, you move to one side, point number one, move to the second point, and then come back for the closing. If you're giving a timeline with things that happen in chronological order, if you're giving a speech in English, picture the audience, they're reading from their left to right. So your pass should be on your right, which is the left of the audience. And then you move as your timeline moves towards thing. If you are talking in your speech about two different places, for example, London and Rome, whenever you mention London, you should be at the same spot of the stage where you first time you mentioned London. And when you mention Rome, you should be at a different spot. And each time you mention Rome, you should be at that spot so the audience knows. If you're talking about a dialogue with your father, so whenever you talk about your father and his dialogue, you should be standing at the same spot and answering. Now, you don't have to walk back and forth when you're giving a dialogue. My father said this and you can just stand and pivot using your feet, left to right. Voice, loud and clear. A lot of times people say when they're nervous, find the words in the start of your speech. The first 15 seconds in your speech are crucial. That's when you see if you can raise your voice or lower your voice. So you show that you know what vocal variety is. In a conversation style, you're not giving a lecture. Talk to the audience as if you are talking one-on-one, even though there's hundreds of people in the room. And monotone is not going to win a contest. So there should be vocal variety, and that depends on the word choice. So you have an option to use vocal variety. Moment. If you've watched ice skating in Olympics, look, they start in the middle and then they use the entire skating area. So same thing, you should use the entire stage during the speech. Don't walk back and forth like a lion in a zoo. You should move with purpose. Never turn your back to the audience. If you have to go backwards, there's something that you have placed that you want to pick up, a prop, you walk backwards while you're speaking instead of turning your back. Or place the table next to you where your prop is so that you don't have a turning, because I've noticed many speakers do turn. These are some of the things that you have to pay attention, and that's where if you do it right, that you're giving the judge an option to take a few points off, which may make a difference between first place and second place, or second place and third place. some of the questions that were asked. I'll go over there and then I will open the floor for a few questions. How to impress the judges. You deliver an outstanding speech, a memorable speech. You are not focusing on each judge is different. You do not control the judges. But to impress, your speech should have good material, something that's personally yours, your life experience, and what you learn out of it, a lesson you learn, and you're sharing that lesson with others. You make the audience think and feel, and you make the audience also laugh. That's how you'll impress the judge. And your language, making sure that if English is not your language, that you look at the words in your speech, the enunciation and pronunciation of those words in the dictionary. You can go dictionary.com, put in the word, it has a sound icon, click on it, and you can hear, say it right. Because a lot of times people say my career instead of career, or my passion instead of passion. How to prepare a speech to connect with the audience. So again, if it's something coming from your heart, it will connect with the audience, something that you have lived. Say, this is what happened. Something that people can relate to, bad luck in their life. Then what did you do to overcome that? I would like somebody want to know, what's the wow factor? On a score of 1 to 10, in order to win a contest speech, you must be 11. You have one extra one is something that stands out. It could be laughter, the language, poetry language that you used, some gestures you had, a special prop that you used. So there's no one thing that stands out as the best item that's going to make it win. It could be anything, something that stands out where people say, wow, did you see what he or she did? We already covered the eligibility of the contest, what it takes to compete. Purpose of your speech should be to inspire. I've seen at Toastmaster contest speeches where people talking about Toastmaster, why I join. No, Toastmasters know why everyone joins that. In a Toastmaster, people want to know, how do you uplift something? How do you overcome the negativity in this world? How do you go from poverty to richness? And so the purpose of speech is to inspire the audience. And it's not a body language speech or speak with a purpose. Your good speech should have a purpose. It should have vocal variety. It should have a message. It should have humor, good language. Someone asked PowerPoint. If you're giving a training session, fine, or an education session or meeting, you can use PowerPoint. In a speech contest, I've seen sometimes people use in a 5 to 7 minute speech. Notice very few props are used. If you watch the 2023 championship or 2024, very few props are used because that takes too much time, especially PowerPoint. What happens if the PowerPoint slide doesn't come on? There's a technical glitch. You're going to apologize. You're going to hold up to 2,000 people watching the speech contest. So avoid PowerPoint. You are the prop. Number one prop is you. You should represent. You should look the part of your speech. You should dress professionally. Now, if your speech is about a different culture, for example, then you can change the dress. For example, one of the contestants, the World Championship, had a sherwani or a shalwar kurta because he was talking about attending his friend's wedding in India. So avoid props if you have to, only if it adds to your speech. If it's not going to add anything, then avoid it. So PowerPoint, my personal opinion is do not use PowerPoint. So any other questions? Toastmaster, DTM, Irfan, are there any questions posted in the chat?
Yes. First of all, I want to share it with the audience. Now it is our question answer session. Some questions were asked that DTM Sarfraz has answered. If you have any question, please raise your hand and DTM Sarfraz will reply to your question. There was one question asked in the chat box, and my question is what you suggest key point for beginners, especially above 55 years old. Key point for beginners when they are particularly seniors.
Okay. There is no age requirement in a speech contest. If you're 55 years or older, you have a lot of experience. So before even starting to prepare for the speech contest, with that much experience, you should have a story vault, like the bank vault where they place all the cash, gold, and money. Make a list of all the things that have happened in your life. When it happened, either date or a time frame, what happened, and then what are the key words associated with that. For example, when I was a toddler, about 2 years old, I was bitten by a poisonous snake while I was living in a village in Punjab. So when would be when I was 2 years old, what happened, bitten by snake, and then the topics that are related, associated with it, or keywords, snake bite, childhood story, survival. So if you have built a volume of experiences and stories, then when I'm preparing the speech, I go to my vault and see what's the best story or stories. If they're short stories, then I need 3 to use in my speech, and I can pick those and connect them in a cohesive manner to come up with a good speech. Now, we talked about the part speech, but when you're preparing, I don't prepare the introduction first or the opening, then just whatever order is the speech first. Then I say how I'm going to end. Then I go back and say what I need to say to open it so I attract the attention. I also talk about title. Title can be prepared before you start writing a speech or after, it doesn't matter when. But editing is important. The title also changes. For example, in my speech, the title was Keys to Success. That's not an attractive. And as time passed by, it changed from Keys to Success to Drive Your Dreams. Look at the difference between the two titles. So the answer is simple. Make notes about your life experiences. Take out some of the best material put together in a speech that the younger audience can feel, hey, wow, what a life he has lived. And we can learn from him or her. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. The next question is from Aisha. Aisha, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Aisha, we cannot hear you. Are you talking?
Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, DTM Irfan Faruqi. So I have a question from Sarfraz Nazir. When we give speeches on club level or area level, we all have a purpose of speech. But sometimes we struggle with the content of speech or topic of the speech. What point you will suggest us which can help to which can help to find content or to select topic of speech easily?
Can I add something to this question, DTM Irfan Faruqi?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much, DTM Irfan Faruqi, and at the same time, DTM Sarfraz Nazir, for giving us the time and for this sensational training. Uh, I like the idea when you say that we need to work for the 20 speeches and then uh, to make one of them. But my question is also related to Toastmaster Aisha, that what we have to, from where we have to start the speech. It is from the idea, uh, from the theme, from the message, from the topic, or from the material we have to work upon it, and then we have to uh, create the theme or a message from that material. That's my question.
Okay. Thank you. it can come, sometimes I've delivered speeches where I said something or used a story that had an impact on the audience, and people gave positive remarks or feedback about it. And I thought, well, how I can take that and make it to a speech. So sometimes it is an idea I have, and then I look into my life experiences to see what I can select to talk about it. Other times it's something that's happened to me. Then I say, hey, how can I? One of the speeches I gave in Karachi Toastmasters was the night I spent in jail. There was in a small town where they had one gentleman who was asked to guard the jailer or the jail or whenever someone was in the prison. And that night they placed someone who was drunk and was trying to enter into the government building, and they put in jail, and they couldn't find the person that they used. And the police officer had seen me in that area before. He said, would you mind guarding this prison during the night, and in the morning we'll take him to the courthouse. And so I thought, hey, that's a good experience. Not too many people get to be a jailer for a few hours. So I thought, how can I use that too? And then the title was, instead of saying, hey, I was a jailer, I said, the night I spent in jail, everybody's thinking that I must have done something wrong, that I was sent to prison. And except when I'm on speech, then I saying something different. Another life experience, my first trip from Karachi to New York. There were 3 people I met on the way, between London and New York, and what they did. So I took that information and made it to a speech with the title Leap of Faith. How scared, subdued, sad I was leaving home for the first time. And then I briefly talk about the 3 persons I met and what they did for me. And then I ended, did God place these 3 persons at the right place at the right time just for me? So it depends on. So I said, 20, I have a list of all stories. So I'm not going to, I can give a speech on any topic that I've lived through at a club level. But for the contest, I'm going to pick the best story, either topic first, and then you say what story fits in, or if you have a nice story that you are dying to share with the audience, say, how can I use this and make a speech around it? So the reason I said that, 20, you should have enough material that you can prepare 20 pieces, but then you pick the best words, best phrases, best ideas, and to come up with the one best speech. And once you've delivered that and you are lucky to advance to higher levels, then when you're required by contest rules to come up with a new speech, then you can go back and start over to come with another great speech. But the topics are anything that solves a problem. People are looking for problem solving. Something that inspires the audience, because all of us have problems. Could be money problems, boss problems, relationship problems. And when we are sitting with other people in the audience, listener, speaker, we want the speaker to make us forget about all those problems for a few minutes and have a good time and give us hope. If the speech gives someone hope, hey, if he can do it, then I can do it. Just make sure you're not the hero. People don't like you being the hero. You make somebody. In my speeches, I am the hero, but I'm not the hero from the typical heroes. I'm the person who starts with nothing, who starts with making mistakes. And then something happens. There's a transformation. That's a good story where something happens and then transformation takes place and something good comes out. And then you're saying, hey, it happened to me. I survived. You can too. So it's just like, a hero sees a heroine, wants a heroine. There's a villain. He won't let him get it. But then hero does something. In the end, hero gets the heroine, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Thank you very much.
I hope that.
Next question is from Naeem Yusuf. Yes, Naeem Yusuf, your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz Nasir and distinguished Toastmaster Irfan Faruqi. Sir, I need guidance for 2 points actually. One is the storytelling only approach to write a winning speech? And my second question is that I witness on the stage as an audience that people who dramatize their speech, they win. Because sometimes I see that I feel that I'm not listening to a speech. I feel that I'm looking to a drama. And the people on the stage are acting actually, not delivering a speech. So how can we differentiate? And I'm not comfortable with this actually. I cannot be an actor. So how can we make a good speech without using a storytelling approach and adding acting or dramatize the delivery? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Storytelling is not a requirement, but notice all speeches or seminars or webinars, or you go to listen to an inspirational motivational speaker, for example, they make a point or several points. If in a 20-minute keynote, there'll be maybe 10 points. There are 10 stories. All points are illustrated by stories. Now I can do research and come up with a literary piece of work, but that's not going to touch the audience. So storytelling is not a requirement, but you have to put in a storytelling format. So again, it's not a requirement, but you have to story. If I just talk about the technical aspect of my topic, that's not going to touch any. It'll be good speech. You'll say, oh, I enjoyed your speech. You made some good points. But it depends on your purpose. If it was just to deliver a good speech and feel good about yourself and hope you touch some audience, that's fine. But if you really, really want to win a contest, then it's the stories that connect. People connect through stories. That's why there's a project, connect with your audience or connect through storytelling. And the second part was giving a speech is not the same as a one-man show acting. It depends on the judges. Some judges don't like acting. So if you're competing, you have to look at what's the trend, latest trend. There was a time when speakers who won speech contests at higher level, especially world championship, hey, you can realize your dreams. But now if you do that, that won't connect with the audience. Now it's in low key. So you have to know the audience, meaning that at each level, in some districts, a speech that wins has 3 points. The same speech in another district, we're not going to win if I say, oh, I've got 3 points and I'm going to talk about them because they don't like, they want one continuous without the 3 points. So know your audience and know the judges. Now you don't know who the judge is going to be. Usually within the districts, the same people that judge most of the time at different levels. In one of my speeches, I was talking about the dancing. So I decided to open from one corner of the stage and come up dancing. And I had a boom box, a CD player with the dance music, and had someone say, when I give a nod, press. So music came on, I went stage, in the middle of stage, dancing. What I didn't realize, this was a contest. The judges were most experienced senior citizens, more than 100 years old. I'm joking, but their total experience of more than 100 years. They did not like that. They said, that's not a speech. So I did not take first place. And another example is in one of the speech contests, I opened with a short story about a pilot or captain of the flight coming on the intercom and saying something to the passengers. So I thought it'd be cool. I went and bought a cap, pilot's hat, and then went to a gift shop at a major airline and bought some wings and pinned the wings on. So I looked like a pilot when I came on the stage and opened with that. And again, some people didn't thought that was a gimmicky and scored me low. So you have to know what kind of audience and what kind of judges you have. And so if some acting is okay. If you notice the world championship, some was you kind of, acting. acting, if you are demonstrating something, running, or flying, people do good gestures. But if you become a one-man act, a monologue comes something, judges won't like that. So there's a difference between a fine line. So you need some drama if you're telling a story, a dialogue, but not as if it's you are acting or you're in a drama. You are still a speaker giving a speech. So all you have to focus is good use of words, vocal variety throughout your speech, and good use of gestures, movement with a purpose, hand gestures. You use the gestures. If you're saying it was this big, you should be big, too little, and then hands to the side, and then back up if you make a gesture, and facial expressions. If you're sad, let the sadness show on your face. If you're happy, let happiness. In one of our speeches, I was talking about something good happening, and I said, talked about it, and I had a serious look. Somebody said, "Hey, you're telling us something great happened, and you're very serious. You should be smiling." So your words and your gestures and your expressions should go together, but you don't have to act. So that's why I say you do the best that you can, put in your best effort, and then leave it up to higher authority and the judges. If you do not, if you do your best and you do not place, then you try to figure what was the difference between the person who won and who took second place and my speech. And then it's okay. And for the same audience next year, if I compete again, I'm going to modify.
Very much.
Sometimes,
yeah. So
Thank you very much.
We are running ahead of time, so we have 3 more questions. I request everyone to be a little bit quicker for rest of us. So next question is from Dinesh. Yes, Dinesh, what's your question?
Yeah, it might not be related entirely to the international speech contest, but it's something which I want to take to get some lessons from our DTM Faraz. So my question is primarily regarding the vocal variety and the voice throw. So I've joined Toastmasters for the last 1 year, and the feedback which I've got from my mentors is that my voice throw, we don't use a mic, just to let you know, in our speeches, in our speeches which we have, club level. So one thing is like how to improve the vocal variety, and second thing is how to improve my voice throw.
Okay. At high levels, you will have a mic, and it's up to the speaker, their choice, whether they want to use it or not. My recommendation, you always use it. The larger the audience, you need the microphone. At club levels, most cases, you will not see a mic. When you're practicing your speech or before the contest, have your friend sit at the back of the room, you go in the front and say a few words. See if he or she can hear you. Because a lot of times people in the club meeting, they get comfortable, they just soft, and the person in the back of the room cannot hear. So that's one way to say something loud. Now, vocal varieties where you have to lower the voice. Again, you have to make sure that the voice is not low enough that people can hear. So you lower the voice, but still loud enough that people, both left, right, back, front, can hear it. You also have to know the facility or the room that you're competing. Sometimes there's a fan. In some cases, there's an air conditioner that goes on and off. And when it comes on, there's a lot of noise. So as a speaker, you should be ready for it. If the air conditioner comes on and there's noise, you raise your voice a little bit, not shouting, because if you're shouting, that's not going to get a bad impression, especially to the judges. So you have to raise your voice. Now, I was in a situation where I was a keynote speaker at association. This was in a restaurant, and they were supposed to have the area by themselves, but I guess someone came over for 2 couples. They were celebrating, one of them was celebrating their anniversary, and they wanted a table, and the manager of the restaurant put them close to where we were speaking. And during my speech, that's when they came and they started drinking and were talking real loud. Instead of me stopping to say, hey, we need to quiet them. I just raised my voice. And the more noise they made, the more noise I was, without shouting more noise. So make sure everyone in the room can hear it. The best is to practice with someone in the back of the room, especially if you, in your speech where you have vocal variety, you lower your voice. She never.
Any exercises you recommend for like increasing the voice through?
The opening jaw, like a lot of times we don't open our mouths too much. Something ah 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 e e e, then together e I. So when I'm starting my sentences, instead of saying I, so I doesn't sound right. I said, she, instead of saying she said, he said. Or pool. Many times Pool is pool, and people say pool. And instead of PO, it sounds like PULL. So, pat your jaw something, and especially in a contest, before you're ready to speak or before the contest begins, go out somewhere and loosen yourself up. Not heavy exercises, but just as if you see those track and field people in the Olympics. Before the race starts, they're right in their lane and they're moving. They don't stand still, see, they're moving. So loosen your mane, do some neck exercises. So what you want to do is you want to be in a relaxed state when you come on stage, so it doesn't look like you're stiff, as if you are lying in a coffin. So voice starts as e, I, ma, na. Project. And when you do that, make sure that people are not around you. They'll think that you must be smoking something.
Thank you, Sarfraz Saab. Next question is from Toastmaster Wahid Akhtar. After it, only two more questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, DTM Irfan. Sir, Irfan Nadeer, I have a question about the humor. Can we add humor in a normal speech, in a persuasive or influential speech? And if we can add humor, what the weightage should be in the speech of humor? And most of the time, we cannot add humor. It is very difficult. Please advise about how we can add humor. What are the techniques? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Again, I mentioned humor is not a requirement, but if you have been listening to, or you can go online, YouTube, and you can see some of the world champions speeches from before, there is laughter. Because you don't want to be giving a serious message for 7 minutes. Humor does not mean jokes, or let me tell you a joke that I heard or something. It's just you prepare your speech and then you go, so where can I modify some of these words? And to give you some example, one of the popular shows a few years back was Deal or No Deal. I'm not sure if some of you are familiar with that or not. It's a show where beautiful, bodacious bodies, it's the 3 words. So instead of saying, oh, beautiful models or models, it's a beautiful, bodacious bodies carrying silver cases and with money amounts, and the contestant just picks up the thing. It's a luck. There's no general knowledge required. So one of the district speeches, I opened by asking a question. Have you seen NBC's, which is the National Broadcasting Corporation, NBC's Deal or No Deal? If you ask the audience to raise their hand when you ask a question in your speech, you must raise your hand too. Your hand should not be down. If in some cases where you ask a question, but in this case you don't want the audience to raise the hand, then you keep your hand down instead of raising. In this case, I want the hand. So when I did that, I have to pause. I cannot immediately start talking. I had to give a few seconds for people, audience, and most of the hands went up. And then I said, then it's a show that requires absolutely no brains. There were about 225 people in the room. They all burst into laughter because they could relate to that, because you don't need any brains to win this show. So when they laughed, given me an opportunity to now that I have their attention. People did not want to miss. So you just go back and see what you can modify a little bit, that people relate to it, and it becomes humor. And a quick example is when I talked about a catalog, that I got a catalog and looked at it and started dreaming that someday I will go to that store and buy some of the things in the catalog. Catalog was from a Sears store. Sears store is where everybody goes. There is not a posh store. Anyone can afford to buy it. So then my story ends that one day I went to the store and bought some shirts and ties. Now it's no big deal, you know, ordinary store, you go buy something and I'm telling them, hey, look, my dream came true. Then I paused and I say, I was talking about my father had given me this catalog. So then I paused and then I said, I wish my father had brought home a catalog from Neiman Marcus. That's a high posh where everything is expensive. And people laughed. That meaning that, hey, if I looked at the catalog, saw the pictures and dreamed about it and my dream came true, what if it was a posh catalog from a posh? So it's just a wordplay. For example, I
Thank
was
you very
talking about
much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prasad. Unfortunately, we are lots on ahead of time. At this moment, I would request only one more question, and there can be a lot of questions, but let's ask Toastmaster Cyril, who had raised his hand. Toastmaster Cyril, last question from you. And after that, I would request DTM Sarfraz Nazir Saab to let the other audience know if they have questions, how can they ask you those questions even after the meeting. Cyril Paul, what was your question?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Lovely. This is an outstanding and very well put together session. I was actually responding to Toastmaster Dinesh. Winning speech is written, and while you're writing your speech, keep asking yourself at each stage what you want your audience to feel at every paragraph, because you just have about 7 minutes, so it's just 900 words that you have. Ensure that each word counts, and the moment you ask yourself this question, how do you want your audience to react, I think the acting part automatically comes in. And I think for vocal variety, there are enough and more exercises. I'll just put a link in the chat. You can refer to that. Over to you, sir. It's a brilliant session. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I
Thank you very much,
appreciate it.
Saral. Toastmaster
Yes, you
Aisha,
can.
Ijazul Haq, I request both of you. We are very sorry that we have run out of time. Last words from distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz Nazir before we close the session.
We were talking about edit, edit, edit. You continue improving your speech, but practice, practice, practice. Especially when you're driving, because you're not spending extra minutes. The first time I went to the semifinals, it was a 350 miles road trip. And I did not know whether the Toastmaster of the contest is a male or female. For 30 minutes while I was driving, I practiced saying, good evening, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, just to make sure. Then for more than 30 minutes, I just practiced the opening of my speech. I wanted to be perfect to open up. You have to grab the attention of the audience within the first 15 seconds. Because if you lose the attention, it's difficult to bring some of the members back into it. So practice, practice, practice. And finally, stand up, speak up, and shut up. Back to you, distinguished Toastmaster Irfan Farooqi. And
I think
I'm in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, shut-up is the best thing to close our meeting. DTM Sarfraz, have you shared your contact, something to contact you, how people can ask you if they have some more questions? I would request you to please share in the group, in the chat.
I will type my email.
Yes, please. So thank you very much. Great audience and great speaker. It was a lovely evening, very well spent time. All of us who joined, who heard this distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz, Nazir, I'm sure everyone has enjoyed, and we have felt that there is no substitute to experience. The way you have participated in your speeches, the way you have gone to the international level, to the semi-final levels, and that shows that yes, we were able to learn a lot of things from you. Since DTM Sarfraz Nazir has written his email ID in chat, all of you who want to learn more from him, please refer to that. And with this, I thank a lot, and with the core of my heart, I pay my gratitude to the distinguished Toastmaster Sarfraz Nazir for sparing time and talking us from probably you are in Houston at this time. So from America to here, and lovely audience here from many parts of the world, India, Pakistan, Middle East, and even Sarfraz Saab is from America right now. Thank you, everybody. Hope it was a learning experience for you. See you sometimes again. Goodbye. Allah Hafiz.